So I've been thinking a lot about reincarnation or reinventing yourself, or what some people refer to as like your new normal. This can be due to many different circumstances. I feel like I've had to like reinvent or reevaluate my life every few years, depending on like circumstance or like situations. So, this can be due to a loss of relationship, a change of jobs, a change of where you live. I've lost a few relationships. I've considered, what my life path basically would look like with different people, and they've all been different. But like once you lose that, you kind of have to reevaluate and see like maybe I'm on a totally different life path than I would have been with that person, or maybe, at this time I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still with said person. Same with like jobs, like maybe certain jobs prevent you from doing something that you're really passionate about, while other jobs maybe allow you to be a part of something that you're passionate about. I've done a few different kinds of jobs. I've had a few different careers that I thought like might be the new thing that I do. Like for a while I was learning how to be a dance instructor, and I thought like this is what I'm gonna do. Now I don't know if I thought that like I would continue to be an actual instructor for the rest of my life, but I thought for sure like maybe I'll perform. And you know what? I don't know. That's something that I could still do. But that's kind of the basis of what I've been thinking about. Like how many times have people had to like reinvent their life, or like wipe the canvas clean and kind of paint a new picture of what they thought their life was going to look like. And these things can happen in like an instant, especially with like just losing your job when it's unexpected, or anything unexpected is kind of, and even when it is, sometimes just like, it's kind of like if someone's sick and they might pass away within a year or something, like, sure, that, but when it happens, it's still a whole thing that you have to deal with, a whole new life change that you have to kind of come to grips with. And I feel like a lot of people have to deal with that, and we all do it in different ways, and we all deal with it in different ways. And I just feel like that it's something that we should all remember is something that everyone does, and what somebody else's new normal might look different from yours. Like maybe you have been married for 25 years and your kid is going off to college, and your new normal is learning how to live with your spouse again because you haven't been alone with them for so many years. Or maybe your new normal is like you lost your spouse and you're learning how to live alone again, or trying to meet new people or make new friends, because maybe when someone passed away, you also lost a lot of friends because people didn't know what to do with you. I've heard of stuff like that happening, and all of that sucks. But it's all about reevaluating what's going on in your life. I like to think about my grandmother, and I never really talked to her about this because I was a teenager when she passed away. But she like built canoes and went skydiving and went to Studio 54 on the weekends with one of her friends. And then I think quickly, I don't remember how long the process was, but she lost the use of her legs. And that was a huge blow to her, and she had to get used to living like that. And not only did that impact her life, and she had to reevaluate, what happiness meant to her, because there's a lot of things that she did that she was no longer going to be able to do. It also impacted like my parents, who helped take care of her, and what their life would look like. And my great grandmother, she moved in with us at one point to help take care of my actual grandmother. So like that's a new normal for everyone. Like I shared a bedroom with my great grandmother for a long period of time. And I don't think most people have that experience. But that's, did my great grandmother think that she would ever move into somebody else's house for a period of time to take care of her granddaughter, or her daughter who had a kid who had a kid? Like, that's not something she probably planned for. But yeah, you just never know. And like even with the same grandmother that lost the use of her legs, she had a disease where it slowly moved up. So then she lost the use of her arms, and then she eventually had a trach. And like her breaking point that she always said was, when I can no longer use my brain, like that's when I'm done. Because she said that she could always be happy as long as she could have the people around her that she loved and have deep conversations with them. And I just think to use that as like a basis point of like, if she could find happiness in just knowing that she could have meaningful conversations with those around her. Now look, I was a teenager. I don't know like what her happiness level really was, but I do know that like in general, like she was filled with love for us. And I feel like that puts a lot of things in perspective for me. Like if I'm feeling down and I am upset about things that aren't necessarily going my way or having to constantly reevaluate my life, like, you know, we all reach a certain point where you're like, this thing that I thought I could do, that's literally can't be a part of my life anymore because of age or circumstance or whatever. And that's okay. Like your life path can change. And that's just something that as a human, we all have to kind of constantly reevaluate and look at and kind of repaint the canvas, because life can be beautiful in many different ways and you just kind of have to find your own beautiful. There's a lot more that I can say. I feel like this is getting a little long and it's kind of more personal to me, but like the general consensus is that, you know, everybody's new normal looks different, but there's nothing wrong with like reevaluating, and there's nothing wrong with grieving a future that maybe you thought you had in something. You grieve that and you repaint a new one and you make new goals, and that's okay. And maybe you find a future that's even better than anything that you could have imagined. So just take that, think well, be positive, create your canvas, and that's all.